to slow the spread of COVID-19. Deputy Prime Minister Freeland has been in touch with Vice President Pence and Secretary Pompeo. I just spoke to President Trump again this morning, and we have agreed that both Canada and the United States will temporarily restrict all non-essential travel across the Canada-US border. Je viens de parler au président Trump et nous avons convenu que le Canada et les États-Unis vont interdire temporairement tout passage non essentiel à la frontière. Travelers will no longer be permitted to cross the border for recreation and tourism. In both our countries, we're encouraging people to stay home. We're telling our citizens not to visit their neighbors if they don't absolutely have to. Well, this collaborative and reciprocal measure is an extension of that prudent approach. I want to be clear, though, that essential travel will continue. Our governments recognize that it is critical that we preserve supply chains between both countries. These supply chains ensure that food, fuel, and life-saving medicines reach people on both sides of the border. Supply chains, including trucking, will not be affected by this new measure. Canadians and Americans cross the border every day to do essential work or for other urgent reasons. That will not be impacted. Ces jours-ci, tous les Canadiens ressentent les conséquences de la COVID-19. Pour assurer votre sécurité, on recommande à tout le monde de travailler de la maison, d'éviter les endroits publics, d'acheter seulement ce dont vous avez besoin à l'épicerie et surtout de faire preuve de gentillesse, d'empathie et de compassion envers ceux et celles qui vous entourent. On doit tous faire notre part pour protéger notre santé et celle de nos proches. The spread of COVID-19 is forcing us all to change our ways, and for many people, that's a huge adjustment. If you work in a restaurant, drive a cab, organize events, or freelance to pay your bills, working from home is not so simple. Just like if you work in the oil and gas sector or the tourism and seafood industries, you're looking at the uncertainty in the global economy and probably wondering not only how long this is going to last, but how long your savings are going to last. No matter who you are or what you do, this is a time where you should be focused on your health and that of your neighbors. Not whether you're going to lose your job. Not whether you're going to run out of money for things like groceries and medication. Last week, we announced a whole range of measures to protect jobs, small businesses, and the economy, from waiving the waiting period for employment insurance sickness benefits to kick in, to increasing support for employers and businesses. We introduced special measures under the work sharing program to help employers who fall on hard times during COVID-19. And if your business faces a cash crunch, we will help you bridge to better times. We're working with our financial crown corporations through the Business Credit Availability Program to protect jobs and businesses with $10 billion in credit. Mais comme on l'a dit la semaine dernière, ce n'est qu'une première étape. Lorsqu'on a annoncé ces mesures, on a dit qu'on allait faire plus. Et c'est ce qui m'amène ici ce matin. In these extraordinary times, our government is taking extraordinary measures. The measures we're announcing today will provide up to $27 billion in direct support to Canadian workers and businesses, plus $55 billion to meet liquidity needs of Canadian businesses and households through tax deferrals to help stabilize the economy. Combined, this $82 billion in support represents more than 3% of Canada's GDP. Let's start with people who don't qualify for employment insurance and don't have access to paid sick leave. Our government will introduce the Emergency Care Benefit, which will provide money every 2 weeks to workers who have to stay home. People will receive this benefit for 14 weeks for an amount comparable to what would be paid through EI. This applies to people who fall ill, people who've been placed in quarantine or have to self-isolate. It also applies to those who have to take care of a family member with COVID-19, but, as I said, fail to qualify for EI. If you lose your job and you do not qualify for EI, we will be introducing a COVID-19 emergency support benefit to help you. This will apply also to people who are self-employed and have to close shop because of the virus. Je veux commencer par ce qu'on va faire pour les gens qui ne sont pas admissibles à l'assurance emploi. Notre gouvernement va instaurer l'allocation de soins d'urgence qui donnera de l'argent aux travailleurs qui doivent rester chez eux à cause de la COVID-19 toutes les 2 semaines. Les gens recevront cette prestation pour 14 semaines et le montant est comparable à celui de l'assurance emploi. Cette mesure vise ceux qui tombent malades, ceux qui sont placés en quarantaine et ceux qui doivent s'isoler volontairement. Elle s'applique aussi aux gens qui doivent s'occuper d'un membre de leur famille ayant la COVID-19, mais, comme je l'ai dit, ne sont pas admissibles à l'assurance emploi. Si vous perdez votre emploi et vous n'êtes pas admissible à l'assurance emploi, on va mettre en place l'allocation de soutien d'urgence pour vous aider. Cette mesure s'appliquera aussi aux travailleurs autonomes qui doivent arrêter leurs activités à cause du virus. As part of this economic plan, our government will take additional steps to protect jobs. We will provide employers of small businesses with a temporary wage subsidy equal to 10% of salary paid to employees for a period of 3 months. This will encourage employers to keep staff on the payroll during these uncertain times. Pour protéger les emplois, notre gouvernement offrira aux employeurs des petites entreprises une subvention salariale temporaire équivalent à 10% du salaire offert à leurs employés pendant 3 mois. C'est une mesure qui incitera les employeurs à garder leurs employés pendant ces moments d'incertitude. We're in the middle of tax season, and I know a lot of people are wondering what COVID-19 means for their personal finances. For those who've filed their taxes and find out that they owe money, they will have until August 2020 to pay. Si vous faites votre déclaration d'impôt et vous apprenez que vous devez de l'argent, vous aurez jusqu'en août 2020 pour payer. On prévoit aussi une aide plus ciblée au cours des prochains mois pour différents groupes de personnes qui sont particulièrement touchées par le virus ou qui sont dans une situation vulnérable. Ça m'amène à la prochaine mesure qu'on annonce aujourd'hui, qui est destinée aux parents. Families with young kids are going to find the coming months especially difficult, with school closures and additional child care responsibilities. Parents already know how much the Canada Child Benefit helps with the costs of raising kids. To take some of that pressure off, our government will temporarily boost the CCB in the coming months. Pour aider les parents à traverser cette période difficile, notre gouvernement bonifiera temporairement l'allocation canadienne pour enfants au cours des prochains mois. With this plan, we're also going to do more for lower-income people. In May, our government will supplement the GST credit, a tax-free payment sent to low-income Canadians every few months to offset the consumer tax that they pay. Every adult who qualifies will receive up to $300 with $150 for every child. Pour aider les gens dont le revenu est faible ou modeste, notre gouvernement augmentera le crédit pour la taxe sur les produits et services. En mai, les adultes qui sont admissibles recevront jusqu'à $300 et jusqu'à $150 par enfant. While all Canadians are feeling the impacts of COVID-19, some groups are particularly vulnerable. For people who are still paying off their student loans, including young people and those who are starting a family, our government will put in place a 6-month interest-free moratorium on their Canada student loans. For people experiencing homelessness, we are doubling the Reaching Home program, which provides funding to communities to help them address their local needs. For anyone fleeing domestic or gender-based violence, we will boost funding for shelters that provide sanctuary when self-isolating at home is simply not an option. And to support immediate needs in First Nations, Inuit, and Métis Nation communities, we are setting up a distinctions-based Indigenous Community Support Fund. This list is by no means exhaustive, but these are some of the things our government is doing to make sure that no matter where you live, what you do or who you are, you will get the support you need during this time. In Canada, public health should never hinge on financial considerations. Aujourd'hui, on annonce un plan pour aider les gens. On se concentre sur les besoins les plus pressants, mais comme je le dis depuis le début, notre réponse évoluera au fur et à mesure que la situation évoluera. Peu importe ce que l'avenir nous réserve, les Canadiens peuvent compter sur nous. Notre travail, c'est de vous appuyer. C'est de vous donner un coup de pouce lorsque vous en avez le plus besoin. Et c'est ce qu'on fait avec les mesures qu'on a annoncées jusqu'à date, et c'est ce qu'on va continuer à faire. Now, I want to turn to additional measures for businesses as part of this economic plan. To help businesses navigate these uncertain economic times, Export Development Canada will provide support to Canadian companies affected by the global situation. For farmers and our primary food producers, we will boost Farm Credit Canada. And we know some sectors of our economy are more vulnerable to COVID-19 than others. That's why in the coming days, we'll be looking at ways in which we can support them all, including through instruments like the Canada Account. L'annonce d'aujourd'hui donne suite aux mesures que nous avons déjà prises pour protéger les Canadiens, leur santé et notre économie. Le ministre Morneau a également obtenu auprès des banques canadiennes un engagement à apporter un soutien aux entreprises et aux gens touchés par la COVID-19. Je sais qu'il maintient un contact régulier dans ce dossier, ainsi qu'avec les dirigeants d'entreprises, les représentants syndicaux et ses homologues internationaux. Our team is paying close attention to the economic impacts of decisions we make across the board to slow the spread of this virus. On Monday, I announced that Canada was closing its air borders to people who are not Canadian citizens or permanent residents, with some exceptions. We also announced a range of other measures on travel. But travel restrictions will not apply to commerce or trade. We are working continuously to ensure the supply of important goods to Canada. Today, we've announced $27 billion in direct support to Canadian workers and businesses, plus $55 billion to meet liquidity needs of Canadian businesses and households to help stabilize the economy through tax deferrals. Economic measures will ensure that our economy rebounds after this. And while we are taking a significant step today to help families get through these challenging times, our government is prepared to do more. But whether we're talking about economic, travel, or health measures, collaboration and coordination remains essential. Our team is in constant communication with our colleagues in the provinces and territories, as well as Indigenous leaders and communities, to ensure that we have a coordinated, Canada-wide approach so we face this and recover from this together. We're also working with our international counterparts. Over the last number of days, I've spoken with leaders from around the world, including with fellow G7 leaders. Working together is how we'll get through this, as families, as a community, as a country. Like many of you, over the past few days, I've seen stories of people doing just that, of people donating money to food banks to help those in need, of friends setting up online groups to chat, of retired nurses and doctors stepping up to help, of young people giving a hand to elderly neighbors by dropping off some extra groceries at their door. I have to tell you, it gives me a lot of hope. I want to close by recognizing everyone on the front lines who's doing an incredible job of keeping Canadians safe and healthy. Grocers keeping their shelves full and our families fed. Postal workers helping us stay home. Pharmacists filling our prescriptions. Healthcare professionals caring for our most vulnerable. Public health officials and first responders looking out for our safety. I know it's a hard time, but that's exactly why we need to keep supporting each other. Our government is here for you, and your fellow Canadians are here for you too. Merci. Thank you, everyone. Just before we get to questions, I'm supposed to model healthy behavior. I'm going to go grab my coat, and I'll be right back. nice and sunny, but a little brisk.
A little cold. Hello, Mr. Trudeau. It's Annie Bergeron-Oliver from CTV National News. I'm just wondering, what assurances do you have from President Trump that if this pandemic gets worse, he will not close the borders, crippling trade and necessary shipments in Canada? And also, how long do you expect this temporary closure to last? Will it be weeks? Are you planning for months?
We talked about exactly that this morning, President Trump and I, to ensure that indeed our economies and our people that are so interconnected in so many different ways will be able to ensure the smooth flow of goods and essential materials and medication across the border. That is something that we remain committed to. We will work in close collaboration on an ongoing basis to make sure that that continues. And these measures will last in place as long as we feel that they need to last. We will again closely coordinate on that as well.
M. Trudeau, sur la frontière avec les États-Unis, comment on s'assure concrètement que ceux qui peuvent encore traverser la frontière ne viennent pas infecter des gens ici et qu'on crée des foyers de contamination? Comment on s'assure aussi que cette frontière-là reste ouverte pour les marchandises et les biens essentiels? Si vous faites le plus concret possible, et aussi dans combien de temps on en a?
Effectivement, on est en train de travailler de façon très attentive avec les États-Unis pour mettre en place les règles précises qui vont garder les Canadiens et les Américains en sécurité. On comprend à quel point c'est important que cette frontière reste ouverte parce qu'on parle de 2 milliards de dollars de marchandises par jour qui traversent cette frontière. C'est essentiel pour pas juste la santé de notre économie, mais de la santé de nos citoyens que ça continue. Mais nous allons regarder pour s'assurer que ces mesures protègent les Canadiens tout en permettant d'avoir les denrées et les produits nécessaires. Par rapport à la durée, on va continuer de regarder autant que ce sera nécessaire, tout en coordonnant entre nos deux pays sur les mesures nécessaires.
Olivia Stepanovich, CBC News. Prime Minister, with all these economic measures being announced, is it inevitable that we're heading into a recession?
I think right now we are focused on making sure that people who are not getting income or revenue because of this COVID-19 challenge have the money to be able to pay for groceries, to pay their rent, to support their families through this difficult time. We recognize that many businesses are closed, many workplaces have significant slowdowns, if not stoppages, and that is going to have an economic impact. But we also know that the fundamentals of the Canadian economy are strong. And in a number of weeks or a number of months or however long it takes, once we get rolling again, the capacity of the federal government to invest in the economy, to support businesses and individuals will ensure that we bounce back strongly. We have the fiscal room to do this because of prudent decision making over the past 5 years. We will be able to ensure that our economy gets back up to speed very quickly.
Guillaume Saint-Pierre, Journal de Montréal. Bonjour, M. Trudeau. Vous annoncez aujourd'hui des milliards de dollars pour les Canadiens. Quand est-ce que, c'est probablement plus facile à annoncer qu'à faire, quand est-ce que les Canadiens qui en ont besoin vont recevoir cet argent-là, vont avoir la couleur?
On parle de quelques semaines pour que les chèques d'aide, surtout à ceux qui ne qualifient pas pour l'assurance-emploi, vont commencer à arriver. Il y a des mesures législatives, donc on est en train de travailler avec les autres partis qui offrent toute leur collaboration pour pouvoir passer des mesures à la Chambre des communes pour faire suivre cet argent. Mais le travail se fait dès maintenant, même avant le retour de la Chambre, pour qu'on puisse justement acheminer cet argent le plus rapidement possible quand les gens en ont besoin.
Maura Forrest, Politico. Prime Minister, yesterday you talked about the possibility of invoking the Emergencies Act. Today you're saying that the Canada-US border will be closed to non-essential travel. How close are you at this point to imposing restrictions across Canada? And specifically, are you considering limiting travel within Canada as well?
I have said time and time again that we are looking at all options. We're not taking any options off the table. Every day we've been announcing new measures that we've been able to move forward on, and we will continue to look at measures as they become necessary and the tools that exist to make those measures necessary. I will highlight, of course, that the Emergency Measures Act is a significant step, not one that we feel we need today, but not one that we are closing the door to in the future if necessary. Okay. Nous annonçons aujourd'hui des mesures et à tous les jours, nous annonçons des mesures additionnelles. À présent, nous avons toutes les autorités nécessaires pour annoncer les mesures qui sont recommandées, qu'on est en train de mettre en place. On n'écarte rien comme possibilité d'outils qu'on pourrait utiliser. Je souligne que la loi sur les mesures d'urgence, c'est une étape extrêmement importante, extrêmement sérieuse, et tant qu'on n'en a pas de besoin, on n'a pas l'intention de le faire, mais on garde ouvert la possibilité qu'à un moment donné, ce serait peut-être nécessaire. Mais d'ici là, on utilise tous les outils qu'on a pour garder les Canadiens en sécurité.
Marco Vigliotti, iPolitics. Mr. Prime Minister, you rolled out or talked about a lot of economic and stimulus measures that you're planning to put in force. What kind of reassurances can you give to Canadians at this time that the government has the infrastructure in place and the people in place, considering the directive to work from home, that this money will roll out in a timely and efficient manner?
There are many families across this country who are looking at their sources of income dry up because of COVID-19. Many of them qualify for EI, many workers qualify for EI, and we're making sure that with the elimination of the 1-week waiting period, that money will be able to flow significantly and quickly to them. Many families do not qualify for EI. Many workers do not qualify for EI, and therefore we're putting in place exceptional measures that will flow money to them every 2 weeks. Our capacity to do this is something that we have spent a lot of time over the past days ensuring, because we know that could make the difference not just between one family facing tougher times or not, but it could make a difference on the health of all Canadians. People need to be able to self-isolate, need to be able to stay home, need to be able to care for their families when their ordinary sources of revenue dry up. That is why we're putting forward $27 million in direct supports to Canadians and businesses. That is why we are moving forward on freeing up $55 billion that will stay in the economy because of delayed tax payments to make sure that people can cover the things they need to in the coming days, along with all our extra measures for shelters, for Indigenous communities, through the Canada Child Benefit and others that will ensure that Canadians have the confidence that they will be okay through this difficult time, because we are all in this together and we are there for you.
On va maintenant passer aux journalistes qui sont sur la ligne. Modérateur, c'est à vous.
Thank you. Merci. The first question is from Lina Dib de la presse canadienne. À vous la parole. Please go ahead.
Oui, bonjour Monsieur Trudeau. La Colombie-Britannique réclame depuis la semaine dernière qu'on ferme cette frontière. Entre autres, vous avez vu les nombres dans l'État de Washington. Vous avez vu les nombres en Colombie-Britannique qui ont explosé hier. Pourquoi vous n'avez pas fait la fermeture plus tôt? Et est-ce que vous croyez que vous l'avez peut-être fait un petit peu trop tard, entre autres pour la Colombie-Britannique?
Nous avons pris des grandes mesures lundi pour fermer nos frontières aux voyageurs de l'international et on a pris 2 jours pour coordonner avec les Américains pour s'assurer qu'on le fasse de la bonne façon et de concert l'un avec l'autre. La vice-première ministre Freeland a appelé hier au vice-président Pence pour justement entamer les discussions dans une phase finale, et on a pu faire cette annonce aujourd'hui, et on sait que ça va aider énormément de gens à travers le pays. Okay. We recognize that we took some significant steps over the past few days. We closed the borders to overseas travel on Monday. And today, 2 days later, we announce that we are restricting non-essential travel between Canada and the United States. This is something that we've been coordinating with the United States on over the past days. Yesterday, the Deputy Prime Minister Freeland reached out to Vice President Pence to really advance these negotiations, and we're able to announce it in a coordinated fashion on both sides of the border this morning. This is something that we need to move forward on to protect Canadians.
Parfait, on va passer à la prochaine question, modérateur.
Thank you. Merci. The next question is from Bill Curry from the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead. À vous la parole.
Hi, Prime Minister. We're seeing in the United States some lawmakers are discussing the possibility of sending direct checks to all Americans as a way of you sacrifice targeting those most in need, but the benefit is it gets there faster. And so you've gone with some existing programs that might involve people kind of dealing with the government and applying for these programs that could sacrifice speed. So can you talk about your thought process in going with this route as opposed to something like direct checks that might be simpler?
I know the finance minister is about to give a press conference in which he will answer many of these questions, but I can say that we are confident that getting these measures out, particularly around EI and folks who don't qualify for EI within the next few weeks to compensate for lost income is going to make a significant difference to people who had an income but have seen it dry up over these days because of COVID-19. Many people on pensions or benefits or supports of various types will of course still receive those supports. We really wanted to target those people who would lose their income specifically. We've also put on the table significant support for businesses and employers to be able to support their workers, to be able to support their fellow Canadians. These are the kinds of things that we're moving with both quickly and in a targeted fashion, because that's what Canadians expect.
Merci beaucoup. Modérateur, on va passer à la prochaine question.
Merci. Thank you. The next question is from Mélanie Marquis from La Presse. À vous la parole. Please go ahead.
Bonjour, M. Trudeau. Par rapport à la frontière, pouvez-vous préciser à partir de quand la frontière va être fermée aux déplacements non essentiels et concrètement, comment est-ce qu'on va contrôler l'interdiction d'accès au territoire? Est-ce que, par exemple, on pourrait embaucher d'autres douaniers? Est-ce qu'on pourrait aussi avoir recours à l'armée? Puis juste par rapport à la frontière aussi, sur le chemin Roxham, il y a des gens qui traversent là et qui ne sont pas nécessairement mis en isolement. Qu'est-ce que vous allez faire pour ça?
D'abord, on est en train de travailler avec les États-Unis pour que ces mesures entrent en vigueur très rapidement. Alors, on va avoir plus d'annonces à dire à quel moment on va pouvoir l'amener, mais ce serait dans un très bref délai. Je peux aussi souligner que nous avons les mesures pour s'assurer que les voyageurs non essentiels ne puissent pas traverser la frontière. Les ressources de l'Agence canadienne frontalière est en masse adéquate pour pouvoir répondre à ce défi, surtout puisque beaucoup de gens vont choisir de rester chez eux, ils vont même pas essayer de traverser la frontière si on leur dit de ne pas le faire. Par rapport au chemin Roxham, je peux vous rassurer que toutes les mesures sont en prise pour assurer que c'est tout à fait contrôlé et que tout le monde qui traverse par là sera en quarantaine pendant 40 jours. Pendant 14 jours.
Modérateur, dernière question.
Merci. Thank you. The next question is from Heather Schofield from the Toronto Star. Please go ahead. À vous la parole.
Good morning, Prime Minister. In terms of working with the opposition and having to pass some of these steps through them, have you been in touch with the opposition leaders, and do you have their assurance that they will cooperate with you to move quickly?
Our House leaders have been working together very closely, both on the House side and on the Senate side. Minister Pablo Rodriguez and Senator Mark Gold have been engaged with all party leaders, both in the House and the Senate. There is broad collaboration. There is broad openness to moving these measures quickly that will help Canadians who need it. I am confident that this is a moment in which Canadians of all parties will pull together to ensure Canadians get the help they need. Le ministre Rodriguez et le sénateur Mark Gold sont en train de collaborer avec leur équivalent des autres partis pour qu'on puisse passer ces mesures le plus rapidement possible. Je peux dire qu'il y a une très grande volonté de la part des partis d'opposition d'aider les Canadiens et on est confiant que ça pourra passer. Par rapport au côté personnel, ça va bien, les enfants vont bien, j'ai encore pas de symptômes, ça va très bien. Sophie est agrippée, elle a un maux de tête et une petite fièvre qui vient et qui part, mais elle se porte très bien et vous remercie énormément de vos belles pensées. Merci tout le monde, bonne journée.
À la conférence de presse. Merci tout le monde.